I was, but I couldn't get your, I changed my email address.
Welcome to the March 13th meeting of the Rotary Club of Jamestown. Please join me in reciting Pledge of Allegiance, singing our national anthem, and repeating the four-way test. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, say, can you see? One so proudly we bear, and the fire is me, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the paradise we watch were so down in stream, and it's so good. The hearts are singing, it's true through the night, but still there. Oh, still not stand, summer strangle, better yet. Let's repeat the four-way test. The things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Our invocation today is given by Vicki McGraw.
So I run everything by my mom before I make a decision. And I had her read my invocation this morning. So oh, that's perfect. Okay. So I'm getting ready to walk out the door. Oh, no, you can't leave yet. And she puts the scarf around my neck because it's St. Patrick's Day and my invocation is looking at St. Patrick's Day. It's not yet, it's Friday, but you know. So our invocation for today is an old iron blessing. May your days be many and your troubles be few. May all God's blessings depend upon you. May peace be within you. May your heart be strong. May you find what you're seeking wherever you roam. May the strength of God pilot us. May the wisdom of God instruct us. May the hand of God protect us. May the word of God direct us. May thy salvation, O Lord, be always ours this day and evermore. Amen.
Nice.
Thank you, Vicki. Moms are always right. So, announcements. The Rotary yours recorded today is Becky Robbins. Many thanks. The Rotary Club survey is complete. We're going to review results on April 3rd. We had 48 people respond, so thank you to everybody that responded. Membership committee will be holding a new member orientation meeting tomorrow, March 14th, noon at the Community Foundation. There was a typo in the program today. The literacy committee is meeting March 23rd, not tomorrow. So literacy, March 23rd. Friday, we have a board of directors meeting, 8 a.m. at Gebby. And then don't forget Friday, March 24th, we're having our Farch at the Northwest Arena. Please contact Michelle Jones for signups. Marion, I believe you have a few announcements.
Well, first, I don't want to announce guests, but I'm just happy to see David back in town. Welcome, David. Safe and sound. We do have 3 guests. I'll start with the sales and events manager here at DoubleTree, Karen Carney. Please stand, Karen. Karen is a Southwestern grad and comes here having formerly worked at the Chautauqua Harbor Hotel. And that's where I met her and Doubletree is lucky to have her now. So we also have the Benson sisters in the room. If you could stand, we have guests Karen Bloomquist and Cynthia Nealon. Oh, Cynthia's predisposed? Okay. Sisters of Deb Kathman. So welcome. We're glad you're here. And Lisa Goodell was the host for Karen today. So thank you. I also wanted to call to your attention the notes on your table. There are a list of goods and household items that are needed by our new neighbors, refugee families. If you're able to provide anything, it would certainly be appreciated. And you can drop them off at the Unitarian Church on Prendergast Wednesday between 10 and noon. I think the last thing is our book club is meeting directly after this meeting. And if anyone wants to join us online, you are more than welcome. It will be the same link that we're using for today's meeting. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary. Sherry, do you have an announcement?
Yes, I do. I didn't know if you saw me or not. So hi, I'm Sherry. I'm the Youth Services Chair. If you haven't known me by now, I wanted to announce a couple of things coming up with Youth Services. First and foremost, we're looking for an initial host family for next year. So if you know of anybody who might be interested to start hosting in August, please let me know or have them reach out to me and I can give them all the information. We do have 2 other potential, but we need someone to be available when our student gets here. I don't have any information about the student yet, but hopefully will soon. Also, I wanted to announce that there are 2 Rotary programs that are opening up. The first is RILA Junior, which used to be called Slapshot, and this is it's a leadership opportunity for students aged 15 through 18. It's going to be held in Ontario, and it just opened up. Well, it's opening up. I'm sorry. The applications start on the 15th. I think our club in the past has sponsored 2 students. We pay the expenses. So if you know of any student, high school student who might be interested in some leadership training, they will have to have a passport or some kind of an ID to get across the border, as will their driver. But we would love to sponsor a couple of students. We've participated in that in the past, and it's been a great program. Also, the RILA program, which is for young adults, is open as well right now. There's information on our Facebook page, and I'm gonna email out some information, and I'll give it to the bulletin editor too, so that they can have it. But either of those programs, if you're interested. And finally, I'm gonna need a ride for YOA to go to the district conference, and that's going to be the 15th and 16th of April. So if anybody in the club is planning on going to the conference, maybe we can work something out. Otherwise, I will be sending out emails asking for that as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Sherry.
Weekly social parch. Let's talk about parch again. 2 weeks from Friday, or 1 week from Friday, a little less than 2 weeks from today. If you've ever wanted to try curling, if you've ever wanted to try bumper boats on bumper boat, are they cars? Boats? I don't know. Bumper cars on the ice. If you've ever wanted to try it, come on down. We're having parch, super easy, $15 a person. We're having a chili cook-off. I think I have 7 chilies ready to taste, and I think they're all very different varieties. So we've had a lot of great volunteers, a lot of good feedback. So come on down if you just want to watch somebody else try it out. I think you should. This is definitely an opportunity to bring people, potential members, guests, friends, make it a social event. It's a Friday night. We'll have a bar available to us. 6:30 to 8:30, March 24th at the Northwest Arena, right down the street here. I'd love to see everybody there. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Please get your tickets ready as we welcome Vince Horgan for today's 50-50 drawing.
$57.
$57.
Have speakers, so I'm gonna ask Dr. Lillian, please hold my winning ticket.
Okay.
All right. Okay, you ready?
Hope it's yours.
Thank you. The last three are 592.
592.
592. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Mark.
Oh, there you go.
Congratulations, Mark. Thank you, Mark.
Yes, thank you, Mark. Oh, boy, today, another good day. And Mark has to leave early, so he helped the pot. And I'm counting heads in the room and I see we have exceeded our 30 minimum. So hallelujah, hallelujah. I was telling Russ about that though, and he's had to be away a couple weeks, so he very generously gave us an Andrew Jackson for the pot to help out the club treasurer. So thank you, Russ. I've been waiting a week or two to see that the right people are in the room. And Vicky stands out with that wonderful scarf, and Dan stands out with that great shirt color, because you were in the paper for the Chamber Legacy Award ceremony. And then Dan was again in the paper this week. Perhaps he'd want to say something for the ambassador program. People understand what it is?
Sure. So the chamber, thank you, Vicki, for all of your work here in town. We are relaunching the ambassador program in downtown Jamestown. You may remember that in the Jamestown Renaissance Corporation. So we are working together with JRC, the Visitors Bureau, and the chamber to reimagine and relaunch that. More to come.
Good job. And those are the recognitions for the week. But it's March, it's madness time. I think we might have, Randolph, men's and women's are off to state. Randolph High School, men's and women's. We might have a Randolph person or two here. Here she comes. Panama women are off to state. And Jamestown High School is recognized for 2 state all-stars. So I suspect we have some alums from there in the room that would want to be. Now, Vince, what do you think? Kent going to do in Indiana? Kent's off to the dance. It sure is. And Michigan State, I think we have a Michigan Stater in the room. Are you a Kent or Indiana there? I'm a Kent, so I'll put that in. West Virginia, Purdue, Pitt. Keep thinking of Ken Strickland when it comes to Pitt. Penn State, John Lloyd, if you're online, you can donate electronically. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. And we cannot forget the other side of the coin. And the women's, Notre Dame. Mike Moots, I haven't seen him on there, but hopefully he's around. Indiana, Michigan, I think we have a Michigan person somewhere. Women's are off to the dance, to their dance. Yes, 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 yes. Ohio State, Mike, are you around? Purdue, Cleveland State, Colgate, yes, there they're at. So that's all good recognitions. And I think we're doing pretty good here, so I'll stop while we're ahead. I mean, I certainly could quiz you on the Oscars. That was quite a show last night if you watched it. Whoa. But anyway, Mr. President, you want to do some happy bucks?
Thank you, Doug. Yes, happy bucks. So I'll get us started. I got a happy buck. Many thanks to Marion and Ruth and Kurt for putting the survey together and getting it out to everybody, and looking forward to those results. And just thanks to Ruth and Marion again for filling in for me. I've had a busy spring here. Gonna miss another 1 or 2 meetings coming up. So thanks for filling in for me.
My happy buck is for our speaker today. My happy buck is completely selfish. I want you to all buy tickets and come to Dining in the Dark.
So it's April 21st, and if you buy your ticket by April 1st, your name is put in a drawing for 2 Taco Bell tickets, so you can get a history tour of the lake if you like. So I have some of these little handbills that you'd like to hang in your business windows. Thank you.
I'm putting in for a couple of things. I do have to leave early, and I'm so sorry to miss Dr. Nay because I feel like I could use some education about stress and how to manage it. But I wanted to say something about an event that we coordinated this weekend, Western New York Girls in Sports. It was fantastic. It was at Jefferson Middle School. We had almost 70 girls. We had 35 volunteers from AAUW and the YWCA, and then the sports team. So it was so great to see these high school varsity basketball girls teaching girls ages 9 to 12 how to do different things. And they did yoga through Lotus Healing Center. They did soccer through Southern Tier Football Club. And most of the volunteers who were doing the sports station were high school girls. And so it was just really, really fun event that was coordinated by United Way of Southern Chautauqua County, United Way of Buffalo and Erie County, and funded by the Ralph C. Wilson Foundation. So just a fun event, and thanks to all who were involved.
Dave?
I'm just back in town for a couple of days, and I came down from the Buffalo airport late the other morning and came to my house, and it was sitting on my front porch. And I've asked almost everybody I know. And if there's anybody here that knows about this, it's called Hypnotic. And the people that delivered it actually left the price tag on it. It was $39. And Phil passed on it. Imagining it would taste like suntan lotion, and it probably would, but anyway, it looks pretty good. We're talking about stress today, right? So maybe I'm just going to leave this behind when I walk away today, and anybody that feels the need to relieve a little stress on something called Hypnotic, please be my guest. Thank you.
It is my pleasure to welcome Becky Robbins from the Program Committee to introduce our speaker.
Well, as you all know, Lillian May is with us today to speak about she spoke at the Bar Association about stress. So I asked her to speak about that, but she wanted to add wellness and stress. So I don't want to cause her stress by saying it's all about stress. So also her biography that I finally weaned out of her was about 5 pages, both sides. So she told me, no, don't do that. So I've selected from some of the pages because she is still doing all kinds of things. I can highlight that she currently is the president of the Chautauqua County Board of Health. She's a member of Strong Start Chautauqua, the Healthy Housing Coalition, and the Physician Leadership Group. I'm sure she's doing other things too. She's some of her former involvements include the JCC board, founder and chair of the Strategic Planning and Partnerships Commission, which we really miss. Chairman of the Mental Health Association of Chautauqua County Advisory Board, emeritus board member of the Northwest Arena, former Gebby Foundation president. These are just a small representation of her leadership history in our area. And as you probably know, she's a cardiologist. She already got asked a question about cardiology today. And she's also board certified in internal medicine and medical management. She worked in private practice, but then worked at WCA Hospital for more than 25 years in various capacities, including vice president of medical affairs and medical director. She has received too many local, state, and national awards to mention. She's an honorary Rotarian, and I'm pleased that she has time for us today. Thank you, Dr. Nick.
Thank you, Becky. Sounds like an obituary, doesn't it, in a way? Thank you very much. I told her I know a lot of you, so it probably wasn't necessary to even do an introduction, but I'm glad she did. Sort of reminded me of
the messes I've gotten into through the years. I think the Board of Health has been the most interesting. And during COVID, that was a time that was very stressful for a lot of people. Is my voice going closer? Sounds so muffled, but
Yeah.
okay. Well, anyway, let me tell you a little bit about the things that that involved odds and ends of things. That's why I was asked to talk to the Bar Association about wellness, but stress was really on their mind. So we did talk a lot about stress. And so I'm just sort of going to mix things up right now. Over the years, I want to tell you a couple things that really occurred to me as a seminal kind of event that I've never.
I have no sound.
Oh, great. I don't know what happened, but I think I'll start back a little bit just in case. A couple of things through my life that have really, well, the one big one I won't mention at all, but two things that I wanted to share with you. One, in the early 60s, I was in medical school, and the New York Times, of all places, carried a big article about children in southern Nevada running outside to play with the snow. Now, this snow was created downstream from the Nevada site where they were testing the bombs. The government insisted that this was not a problem. Well, I mean, you know, anybody would sort of worry, right, that it was going to be radioactive. And indeed it was. This was not addressed or even talked about until, I would say, maybe 25 years later. At least maybe 1.5 generations, maybe it was longer than that. And what happened was the government paid out large sums of money for diseases caused by the radioactive fallout that looked like snow to the children of Nevada. There were miscarriages, you know, cancers and so on and so forth. It took that many years. I never forgot this story. I may have little tiny pieces of it forgotten, maybe mixed up, but that's the gist of it, I can assure you. The second thing is, around that same time, there were two internists at the University of Rochester who sort of did a lot of the, and this is what really interests me, the interrelationship between physical health and emotions. And they wrote a paper about the folks from the war offices going to people's home and letting them know that their loved one had perished in the war. And there were considerable amount, a number that was significantly impressive, of sudden deaths upon hearing this news. Now, this doesn't mean these were normal, healthy, perfectly healthy people. You know, they may have had some kind of coronary disease. They may not have. But the point is, this tremendous mental, emotional response of adrenaline, cortisone, and the combination of these people dropped dead upon hearing the bad news. So it's clear, you already know, stress has a tremendous impact on physical health. Everybody here knows that. Now, I think Vicky's blessing And the invocation was probably a little bit nicer than some of the things I'm going to tell you about here. I mean, we should have ended with that actually, rather than to cheer everybody up. Because I sort of have to tell you that, and many of you know this because the media has covered this pretty well, the national media, which is that the length of life expectancy in America has gone down. Now, it started going down before COVID. And certainly added to it was COVID. You know, there's between 7 and 8 million deaths in the world from COVID, in spite of people saying it really didn't happen. But our decrease in the length of life is more than other industrialized countries. I mean, this is really something to worry about, right? Now, what are the causes of it? I already said it started going on before the COVID pandemic hit. COVID is a large part of it. Drug deaths are a very large part of it. And the sad thing in this country is there's quite a bit of stigma attached to the treatment of substance abuse disorders. Now go figure that, you know, in a country where you can get the best of medical care, we have to have this sort of black mark against us. Years ago, I was in Portugal, so I asked the bus driver that was bringing us from one place to another what he knew about the fact that Portugal had first of all, they made drugs legalized. Now, I mean, I'm not necessarily, you know, this should not be interpreted since it's being recorded that I'm in favor of legalizing drugs. However, what they did is that they had with trucks going out at 3, 4 in the morning to the neighborhoods. They were methadone trucks. You know, they were secure, but they were giving out methadone for the people who wanted to go to work and be at work at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, whatever time they started. I mean, you know, we could be doing stuff like that too. Right now, people from here have had to go to Buffalo until recently, and now they can go to Dunkirk for methadone. That's just one of the treatments. There's others. There's Suboxone, which is a medication-assisted treatment, but there's still a big attachment to that. Alcohol is another cause of the decreased length of life. And cirrhosis is actually going up in this country, and deaths from alcohol. Mental health issues abound like crazy, right? And especially post-COVID, especially in young women, it's been described a great deal and a lot of attention to that. Income is an issue. Where we live is an issue. You know, what kind of water are you drinking? You know, what kind of air are you breathing? I mean, we can think of Ohio, right? And the train derailment as being a huge environmental catastrophe. There's a lot of social determinants of health. And so this is a kind of a downer to talk about it, but we'll get to more fun things very soon. If you can just, since I've been involved in the Board of Health, I can't help but mention that there's a lot of issues that we're facing now in public health. Probably the biggest one, I think, now this is just me, remember, I think that long COVID is going to be one of our biggest public health issues to be concerned about. It's not uncommon. So far, we're up to about 35% of people who've had COVID still have significant symptoms 2 months and beyond their initial illness. And it's varied, multi-system problems, and some people can't work. You know, we have a low unemployment, but I mean, in the country, but I mean, when one wonders how many of those are simply unable to work because of fatigue, shortness of breath, brain fog, and so on. The other public health problem that we'll be facing, I think, is the issue of guns. I mean, this is a huge problem in this country. I've already mentioned drugs, and that's increasing and very unfortunate, often called, you know, these deaths, and if they're overdosed that result in death are talked about to be despair, people who are in despair for one reason or another, hopeless, and so on. The other thing is a huge public health issue is the racism. And I think one has to be extremely careful about, in my opinion, as a doctor, I mean, a retired doctor, of course, you have to take care of people no matter what, and you have to care for them equally. Okay, now, if that isn't stressful enough, we'll talk about stress per se. And one of the things I wanted to mention to you is my good friend, some of you may have known Marianne McElrath. She and I used to give programs on stress management in the old days. And my part of it was the physical, so-called, you know, and hers was sort of the emotional or mental, but we integrated them all the time. And that's why I know more than I should probably about mental health. I don't know after giving these talks with her, but I always told people to try to reduce stress. One really easy way is to put the words down that you want on your tombstone. They call that an epitaph, right? And if you sort of what you want to be remembered as in your life, and not a full thing, but just the thing on your tombstone. Like it could say, you know, this was a kind person who was good to everybody, or it could be the opposite, which I don't even know what that would be. I don't think anybody would put it on their tombstone, but you get the picture. And then you'll know what your values are. I mean, I think everybody gets so darn busy and stressed out, you forget what you stand for, what your values really, really are. And I think that, pardon me, if you find your own values and articulate them to yourself, you got to live them. And I'll tell you, that could really make a difference. It could really make a difference in the stress that you feel. I have a couple things on my desk. Little sayings. One is a little piece of the Hippocratic Oath. Do you know Hippocrates? He was the father of medicine. And whether he said these words or not, God only knows, but it's attributed to him. And it said, first, do no harm. And when I graduated from medical school, we recited the Hippocratic Oath that the dean read, and then we probably put our right hand up and said, yes, we do. But yeah, first, do no harm. That's really, really important. Now, has anybody in this room ever read the Divine Comedy besides me? Oh my God, this is a good group. We got 2 people. Oh my gosh, I love it. Well, anyway, now mind you, this is said to have been in the original Italian, and I was taking an Italian course in college, and I read parts of this in Italian. I didn't read the whole thing because it's many, many, many pages and got so much Greek mythology mixed up in it and things like that. But there's a lot of layers of hell. It goes like paradise, purgatory, and hell. Now, hell has a lot of layers. And I always remember this piece. This is hard. This one is hard, but I have this on my desk too. Scotch tape to the top of the desk. And it has to do with the fact that there's a part of hell. This is not in the English translations, so I don't know who made this up, but I like it. It says you have to do the right thing. And if you don't do the right thing, you could be punished and land in one of the outer layers of hell. And that means something happens and you could do nothing and nobody would even know that you perceived a wrong someplace. It's sort of a moral issue, moral, ethical issue. But you need to be true to yourself, you probably need to do the right thing and either say or do what's necessary if it's right. Now, like I say, this is, I can translate this to a lot of things in my own life, and it may not be so easy. You could get into trouble probably. But anyway, we're talking about stress reduction, and this is one of the ways to live your life with the values that you have. Now, the fun part now, how long is it supposed to go on? Oh, well, I told I told the attorneys something. We'll talk about stress management, but you know, stress management doesn't really, I mean, everybody knows how to manage stress, right? I mean, you know, you do meditation. I think meditation is one of the keys. You try to prioritize, you try to look into a quiet time every single day where you get rid of all these things that you haven't done and needed to do or whatever. You have a blank mind, you think of a beautiful sunset, you say et cetera, et cetera. Well, I just read a study that shows that there's 63% may retire in 2 or 3 years. So this is a scary thing. Well, with these physicians, what do you think we're going to do? Tell them to do more yoga? No. No, see, the problem there is, do you know what the biggest causes of their burnout is? Huh? In a way.
They're made to be bureaucrats by the big conglomerates that run the hospitals now instead of just being medicine people. Right.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think before I read this study, I was thinking it was going to be the computer, you know, the electronic medical record. You have to talk to the computer and you take your eyes away from the patient and you know, this is not good. They're getting more used to working with it now and have managed to work around it in some ways, but that wasn't it at all. It was all this other stuff, which is similar to the administrative part, I think that Becky said. What it has to do with is prior authorization and fighting for you people, us people, fighting to convince the insurance company to pay for something and to let the patient have it to even begin with. Can you imagine? Then the frustration, where's the sadness there and the stress? I don't dare go near this desk here. The frustration, which is so bad, is they know that the patient isn't getting what the patient needs. I mean, so all the yoga, all the meditation, all the walks with nature, all the exercise is not going to help that. And so the systems really have to change. And in public health, you know, they're spending a lot of time and money trying to find out where COVID came from. Well, I mean, are they preparing for the next pandemic? Are they trying to fix the public health system so that it's fixed, so that it has the employees and the infrastructure and the data collection and the testing and the rapid vaccine development? Are they doing that? They're spending behind closed doors fighting about exactly. I don't know. I have a little problem with that. I mean, I'm seriously, I mean, I want to know where it came from too, whether it's from the market or from a lab, but I mean, I'm not going to spend 100% of my time doing that and then not take care of what needs to be done. Just like the railroads have to fix their equipment and so on and so forth, you know, I never thought that public health in my lifetime was going to be so interrelated to politics. It is astounding to me because I grew up naive in this regard, but I know better now. Well, anyway, I'm going to pass this picture around and I will, now this, I think this is Dan Buettner from National Geographic. And this is over 100 year old woman. Have you ever heard of the blue zones? Actually, interestingly enough, the Washington Post has been carrying articles on the blue zone. And I was onto this about, I'm not proud of myself for being onto it, but I knew about it 20, 30 years ago. This is a great story of centenarians, people. You can open up beyond the first page, but if you just to see that picture is amazing. There are pockets in the world where people got a large number of people last to be 100 years or more. Now, the study first came out, and this is an old National Geographic from the year 2006. Now, the regular press is talking about it quite a bit. There's a bunch of blue zones. One is Sardinia, which I can relate to the most. My ancestors are from Italy, not from the island of Sardinia, but very close to it in Italy. And that's Sardinia. There's another Icaria in Greece. It's been added to the list, not on the original list. The other one is Loma Linda, California, where the Seventh-day Adventists live. As a group, they live all together. Another one is the Nicoyan Peninsula in Costa Rica. And the other one is in Okinawa, Japan. And these people live to be over 100. Now, I'm going to tell you because this is a stress reliever, maybe, to know that you can live healthy lives. I mean, there was a woman in one of those pictures who's got a sling here. I was telling my granddaughter about this the other day. She's in a sling. Why? At the age of 107, she was in a tree picking nuts and she fell out of it. I mean, so, these folks, and I'll tell you about Sardinia now. Sardinia, the Phoenicians, when they came to the island of Sardinia, the people who had been living there from the sort of the original people from the Iberian Peninsula, that's who landed up there first. There's all kinds of history in that neck of the woods, which I don't know a lot about, but anyway, that when the Phoenicians came, they all went up high in the mountains. And this is the life that they lead. They're goat herders. So the male and this is the other interesting thing, and Phil knows this from the Bar Association. It's a 1-to-1 ratio at that level, men to women. Now in this country, women outnumber the men at an more advanced age by 4-to-1. But over there, it's the same. Well, this man lives a beautiful life, in my opinion. I would love it. He has goats and he takes them in the pasture up in the mountains, to feed. In the morning, 4 miles, and then later in the afternoon, another 4 to 6 miles. So he's walking all those miles, but it's beautiful. It's pleasurable. You know what I mean? He's not racing to get his heart rate up to 200 so that he can say he's in shape. He's there taking care of his sheep, and his wife is doing all the vegetables. And for some reason or other, she manages all the finance. You can see where he doesn't have so much stress. But the thing of it is, I don't think he really, I don't think she really, there's not much financial about it. This is what they eat. They eat vegetables, fruit. They rarely have meat, rarely. And the pecorino cheese is very big there in the island of Sardinia, and that's from the goats. And fava beans. There's probably no, except for Phil, because I mentioned at the Bar Association, fava beans are an Italian bean that my dad used to grow. They're very good for you. And then they have fish once in a while from going fishing. So it's it's a Mediterranean diet, really, when you think about it. They didn't have olive oil up there in this particular group of people, but in Greece they sure do, in Icaria. So they have a big family. The kids were still there at that time. Now the younger generation has left, these pastoral scenes, and they're in the cities. They're eating the stuff they shouldn't eat, and they're smoking, and et cetera, and they're not living as long as the ancestors. But I think this is sort of predictable. The family eats together at least once a day. you know, the grandkids around and stuff like that. There's a big family and support system there, and every single group has that feature. All the places, Costa Rica, Ikaria, Okinawa, the women in Okinawa, they have tea together, friends, every day together. And they're sort of encompassed by support and so on and so forth. A lot of that lacks nowadays for, I think, us. Every single, because of the workload and so on and so forth. One thing I wanted to mention, that every group, the Loma Linda people, are Seventh-day Adventists. They don't drink, they actually do not drink alcohol or smoke. It's forbidden in their religion, but they eat vegetables, fruits, and I think they eat celebratory pork once in a great while, but meat is not really part of their diet. In Okinawa, there's a lot of tofu and things like that, but beans, believe it or not, are, even though their lifestyle is different, beans are everywhere. Black beans in Costa Rica, the favi beans and with the Italians, so on and so forth. So if you wanted to, if you asked me what I thought the healthy diet was, I still think it's the Mediterranean diet, you know, which is mostly fruits and vegetables, nuts, legumes, especially lentils, and all kinds of beans. In fact, a lot of people say 1 cup of beans, of some type of beans every single day is good. Not much meat. You know, meat itself, heavy meat eaters have an increased incidence of certain cancers. I don't know if that's common knowledge. Breast is one, prostate is another, and possibly pancreas. The people who don't eat meat, or for whatever reason, their incidence of malignancy and cardiac deaths, you know, heart problems, is a lot lower than the general population. Many years ago, and I haven't seen this in the literature at all now, is prior to World War II, there was not much meat around, I guess. And after that, there was some affluence that developed and people were eating a lot more beef. And whether or not this had anything to do with it, but the incidence of coronary disease became greater. Now, the killers in this country are heart disease 1, 2nd is cancer, 3rd is COVID, and 4 is all these others with, you know, overdoses and drugs, accidents, so on and so forth. Well, I think probably it's a little after 1. I think this is when you usually end, isn't it? And, okay. Well, anyway, nice to see all of you again. Don't forget to give me my picture back. I love that picture.
One of Rotary's many international programs to eradicate polio in the world. In honor and thanks for your presentation to our Rotary Club today, we'll make a donation in your name that we will vaccinate 4 children who will never experience polio in their life. Thank you, Dr. Lillian Nay, for your wonderful presentation this afternoon. Remember this year's Rotary International theme, Imagine Rotary. Thank you, and we are adjourned.
Probably just myself. That was 2 minutes.
Oh, no.
Yes. Flag behind. So funny.
About 6.
Are you, did you play basketball?
I did. Football. Yeah, I played in high school. I'm from Wyoming. Student fellow.
Oh, yeah, I had a sister who had a
Oh, are they?